This is Let's Talk Business with your host, Marc Ebinger. Now, here's Mark.
Welcome back to the podcast. Coming up on the show today, we're going to talk about using an overseas virtual assistant at an auto collision repair business right here in San Antonio. In studio with us today is Kelly Rabedeau, the owner of 360 Collision. Kelly, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. I'm excited to have you here. We've known each other for,
Over
has it
a
been
year?
a year? Has it been a year already?
Yeah.
I remember when you joined B&I, which is where we met, it's how have you felt about the whole learning to network? Was that your first networking group?
That's my first official networking group, and I absolutely love it. I recommend it to people all the time. If you haven't done it, it's a great beginner, group, and everybody's very welcoming. And yes, I've learned a lot in that group.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's been fun. It's tremendously positive for my business. My ROI is actually, and of course in my business, it's not as big as yours, but my ROI just from B&I is over 6 figures.
That's great.
Isn't that crazy?
That is amazing. My number, I think the last time I checked, I think I had just in 1 year gotten over $80,000 of business. So it definitely pays for itself.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's kind of a no-brainer.
It is.
My wife was, okay, your year's coming up. What are you going to do there?
Yeah.
But one of the main reason that you're in here today is we're going to talk about, using a virtual assistant, hiring. I'm curious about your thought process when you did that, and then also how the hiring process went, and then ultimately, how it's going with the things you're utilizing your VA for. I know it's a learning process as dealing with anything, new is. But at any rate, just a recap for who I am. I didn't introduce myself, but I'm your host, Marc Ebinger, the owner of Crükus Virtual Staffing, a company that recruits and staffs experienced overseas administrative assistants for insurance agents and attorneys primarily, but I also staff for small business owners as well, I get a lot of joy out of that. So if you're curious about the most common tasks that virtual assistants are doing for businesses, head over to our website at crükus.com and grab a list of the top 20 tasks that VAs are doing for businesses like yours. The link is in the podcast description below. So Kelly, tell me a little bit about your business. Give me about 90 seconds of how, where you kind of started from, how you got into the collision business. It's kind of an interesting story.
It's a little bit of an interesting story. So my family owned body shops when I was growing up. They had several of them here in San Antonio. Always swore I would never work for my family. I'm sure everybody says that has family and business. Ended up working for them briefly and then left, went to work for a large insurance company for over 20 years. And then an opportunity came up from people that I had known from my past to buy a body shop. So I was looking to make a change after COVID, like a lot of people, and I ended up buying the business out of bankruptcy, and that was 4 years ago. So obviously we do automotive collision repair. We're by the medical center, and we work with customers who are going through insurance companies and customers who are just paying out of pocket to fix things on their vehicle. It can be simple cosmetic things that they don't like about the car, or, they've been involved in an accident, and we can take care of all of their needs that way.
So when it came to I guess probably heard me talk about virtual assistants just because we're in the same B&I group. What was the trigger for you to actually say, you know what, I think this is something that I can actually pursue?
So I've been juggling a lot of things since we've opened, and I like to do a lot of the financial and the administrative stuff myself instead of subbing it out. But it was almost too much for me to handle myself. After starting with BNI and talking to some of the other people there that are also utilizing the VAs, I started realizing there was a lot of things that I did that took a lot of my time that was something that someone else could do. But it wasn't enough to hire a person to do specifically that job full time here in the States. So it really fit for me to offload some of the things that took up time, but weren't really beneficial for me to be doing. So as far as a lot of my social media, because I'm not very good at it, so it takes me a little bit longer than most people. So there was that, managing my calendar, my emails, and some of my minor data entry. So.
Did you have any reservations when you were kind of going through this process?
I was a little nervous at first because I'd never done it before. So obviously using somebody from another country, there's a lot of questions that you have. I also was curious how it would work for me because we use specific software for our industry, but it was really a painless process. And I meet with my VA every morning, and we kind of go through everything, that we need to get done, or what she needs from me, or what I need from her. And the conversation's usually anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes every day, but it's been very beneficial in a lot of ways. Not only does it help me with, some of the tasks that she's covering for me, but it also helps me stay on track during the day, because it kind of is that extra layer of accountability. So I really like it a lot.
Yeah, it does take a little bit of our time to implement leverage on a regular basis.
Exactly.
And there's also developing and cultivating the relationship with the VA, right? Because if they're bought into you, right, your company, there's some personal relationship stuff going on, or at least professional relationship, but there's a personal component as well. You get the buy-in of the employees, and I know you understand that because you have employees already.
Yes.
The better relationship you have with them, the more loyal, the more productive, and the happier that they're going to be. Is that what you find working with the VA as well?
I do. And obviously my VA is from the Philippines. And so I've learned a lot about her culture too, which meshes very well with my personality type. And then we also try to include her as much as we can, even though she's remote, with our day-to-day business. And so, and she seems to really like that as well. So she feels like she's part of that team.
That's good. Now, you mentioned unique software. So I know when we were doing the hiring process for you, as with everybody, we ask, what tasks do they want them to do? And then if they have like a unique, or they want HubSpot experience for the CRM, or they want whatever it is, we try and find that as much as possible. But basically, if they have a foundational set of skills when it comes to CRM management, for example, then they can plug and play pretty quick. The unique software you're talking about that you wanted her to work on, is that something that she ended up working on, and how was that process?
She does work on it. She probably only uses that software maybe 15 to 20% of the time. She uses it for our customer outreach. So I've done the training on there. It's a pretty simple system for what she's using it for. So it's been easy going. So
she had enough basic skills.
Yes, absolutely.
That she could pick it up quick. So, yeah, because that's a hesitation that I hear a lot is, okay, well, I need them to have this particular type of, software experience. Like CRM, for example. Well, they may not need to have that specific one if they've got, basic skill sets around that. What about the English? I think that a lot of people are worried about, the accent being too much, that, it's one of those deals where they feel like it's going to be a bad representation of the business if they're doing outreach, or it's going to be difficult to communicate with them, or for them to communicate with clients. Where was the English level? How important was that to you, and what have you found?
So that was initially one of my reservations, was working with somebody from another country. Is that going to be, something that's going to be hard for me to communicate through? And it's actually the opposite. So during the hiring process, your company did a wonderful job of making sure you vetted people before it got to me based on what I had told you I was looking for. And my VA, her English is very good. Obviously, she's from a different area, from the Philippines, so she's got some cultural differences. But once you're familiar with all of that, we haven't had any issues at all. So everything works out just fine. So,
what about the time zone difference? Now, we just ended savings time, so we're into regular standard time now. So they're now 14 hours ahead of us. How has that, been a factor in her performance?
Well, we just started today, I guess, is our first business day under this new schedule. So far, so good. So we'll see. I was kind of curious how that would impact us, if it would be a problem for her. Sometimes I swear she doesn't sleep, so we'll see. I don't think it'll be an issue, though. So,
but her working nights there, because even at 13 hours or 14 hours or whatever, but they're working their night shift over there.
Right.
Has that been a factor at all in her performance?
No, not at all. No, she actually seems to thrive on it. So, I haven't had any issues, with her missing work or anything like that. She seems to be a night owl of sorts. So,
yeah. So when we screen candidates, when we do the job postings, wherever they do them all over the place, we're letting them know, hey, this is what we need, right? So we can target specifically, very little accent if that's what's needed, right? Or no accent. And then work in the night shift and stuff like that. So we can overcome these objections pretty easily. Has there been anything in your journey so far with the VA that you were like, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting this? Any negatives at all?
No, I would say actually the opposite. It's been a lot more positive than I anticipated. I thought that the first, 2 to 3 months there'd be like a little bit of growing pains, and it's really been the opposite. The one thing that I would highly recommend to anybody who's going to do a VA is do the daily calls. I think that is huge. I think that, you can kind of set better expectations both with the VA, and they can set them with you when you're talking on that consistent basis. I think if I wasn't doing that, then it probably would have been a little bit more painful those first few months. But no, I wouldn't say anything negative at all. It's actually been a lot more positive than I expected. I expected to have those growing pains. So
now looking forward, do you see other areas of your business where you can involve your VA more?
absolutely. So that's something that you and I kind of briefly talked about recently. And I think that sometimes when you have somebody who's working remotely, and I'm sure this is in a lot of businesses, you don't see that person every day. And so you just don't even realize some of the stuff that they can do. And that is definitely something I've fallen into. And I've been trying to get a better grasp of, helping her to help me, I guess. So sometimes I forget that, oh, you know what, talk to her about this and see what she can do to help. And so we've started doing that a little bit more. And, she's helping me right now with holiday planning for the shop for our holiday events. And so, and I didn't even think about it until we were having one of our morning conversations. And I told her, look, these are the things coming up in the next couple of months. And she's like, well, let me help you with that. And so it's been huge. So kind of goes back to that morning call. The more conversations you have, I start finding more things that she can help me with that it's beneficial. So,
yeah, I have found that my VAs like to be busy, right? They
yes,
like to have stuff
absolutely.
to do,
yeah,
which is awesome. Not trying to get away from work, but actually
Yeah.
gravitating towards it. Another thing that I found too is that, and I had to kind of almost stumble across this on my own, was I wanted to prepare some kind of spreadsheet for something, right? And I started doing it, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. I just do not like being in that space where I'm having to do that. And one of my VAs at the time was like, well, I can do that for you. And she did an amazing job, way better. I didn't even know some of these things that she did on the spreadsheet were even possible to do, and she had done them. So leveraging, or just simply like you're doing, you're kind of soundboarding a little bit about, hey, this is what's coming up. But even like, asking, rather than learn something, ask if they have the skill in it already, and they might.
exactly.
We're doing that for event planning, Canva, right? So like, just as an example, it can be crazy stuff on Canva. Obviously, there's social media posts and all that, but we have a layout for our sponsors. It's a floor plan. Well, she created it duplicated that floor plan in Canva, and now
Right.
we're going to be marking off where the sponsors and stuff are going to go. It's just like stuff like that. It's like when you start discussing what you're doing.
Exactly. We use Canva. She introduced me to that. She's I hate to say it, I'm a little old school, so I'm, that whole Microsoft Office, and she's got me now using Google Docs, and so things that are a lot more efficient too. So yeah, she's definitely showing me things that I didn't know, and I can see now how they fit better into our work environment.
Is she creating SOPs for the stuff that she's doing?
She helped us with our handbook. We did a revision on our handbook when she first started and kind of went through there, helped us with some of our SOPs. So yes, in a way, yeah.
So for whatever tasks you're having her do, she can create her own SOPs for those as well. And it can be something as simple as a Google Doc somewhere. We're getting trained by, Heather Boehm, right? So systems and processes is her big thing. And she's teaching us this system, but my intention is to take that system and then have the VAs then implement it. And it involves Trello, which is kind of like, I call it like a bookshelf. Trello is the bookshelf where you put all your SOPs, and then those are all links to the Google Docs where that stuff's at, but it's all in one place. You don't, Google Docs or Google, the Drive is it's not a visually appealing place to do something like that. That's easily kind of navigatable. But anyway, so yeah, having your VAs document their processes as they go, update them. They can even create their own Loom videos. Like if there's something that needs explanation, they can create a Loom video, and then from that Loom video, you can get the transcript and have ChatGPT create the SOP and format everything for you, and then just put it in Google Drive. But the VAs, these younger generations, like they're already learning all of that stuff.
Yeah, I was going to
way
say
ahead of us.
that's so far out for me, but for her, it comes so naturally, and so it's very refreshing because she'll come to me. I'll kind of give her an idea, or we'll be brainstorming something, and she's like, "Okay, well, let's just do this," and she can turn it into a reality very easily, and it's been so nice. So,
Yeah, and of course, the cost savings too. So there's different with all my clients when they're first starting out. We're like, it's very kind of bare bones, right? You come in, they're going to start whatever hours they're working, they're going to start whatever the tasks are, and then we start developing those things as we move along in the process. This is where ongoing communication, like with me, is good because then you kind of learn a little bit more about what they're doing, or asking the VA what can they do, but they can begin expanding what they're doing. And then as business owners, we can get better at being their boss too. So like, doing whether it's benefits, like paid time off or health benefits or whatever. There's more things, or education, training and stuff like that. There's just areas we can continue to grow these employees just like normal employees.
absolutely. So, yeah, we actually her birthday is tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
My VAs, yeah. So I told her, "Wow, what an odd day to have a birthday." I said, "Did you know we're having an election here?" And she's like, "I didn't." I said, "It's a very popular day in the United States."
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah.
It's something that I don't know if Jennifer, if you've heard this, but we actually set up with our HR. So, what we do is when it's our employee's birthday, we tell them to call and order what they want, to whether it cover lunch or a birthday cake. Birthday cakes is what they've done so far.
Okay.
And then just get it delivered to them, and then just let us know what the cost is, and we reimburse it. We tried to do it ourselves, but it was just too convoluted. But we've got it now to where the employees will just, they'll do what they'll call up, they'll order, and then they just tell us what the cost is.
Oh, that
and
would
we
be
reimburse.
wonderful, because I was trying to figure out what can I do for her over there. So
So you can reach out to Jennifer,
Okay,
my wife,
perfect.
and just say, hey, we'd like to, whatever it is you want to do, and then we'll just work out the deal there.
I'll get with her as soon as we're done.
Awesome. Love it. All right. Well, anything that we didn't cover that, is like something you wanted to bring out about your VA?
No, I've loved having my VA. Like I said, in the beginning, I kind of had just a set thing I thought that I wanted her to do, and it continues to grow as time goes by, and I realize more opportunity for her to help, and also getting to know her as a person has been very beneficial too. So, and she helps just from us talking, and I've just loved the experience. So
Cool. Well, speaking of that, as we wrap up, as far as, I know the answer will be yes, but would you recommend Crükus Virtual Staffing, and if so, why?
absolutely. And I actually have several times already when I'm out talking to people and doing networking events or talking to other business owners who, when we're talking about pain points and struggles, a lot of times it comes down to not necessarily needing that full-time employee or somebody that has to be there, but somebody to help offload some of their work. And I've brought it up several times because it really is an ideal situation for a lot of people. So, yeah.
Yeah, and having that, for us, we pay very close attention to the hiring process for the entrepreneur, because they're already overloaded. They've already got a lot on their plate. So we do everything we can to help make that super smooth and super simple and less time consuming for you guys. And the quicker you can get to your ideal candidate, the better.
Yes, I was very impressed with the hiring process. After giving you guys kind of what I was looking for, it didn't take long at all. So I was shocked. I thought we'd be going through quite a few people from previous hiring experiences. Usually you interview quite a few people before you find that person. And I don't know the exact time I've had her now, but I think we're going on 6 months. So, yeah, I know that was something that some people said, well, don't you have a lot of turnover? And no, I like mine. It was, virtually first time out, and only, I think they found 4 or 5 people. Maybe it was even more than that. But, yeah, we got her
They
right
literally
away.
start from about 300. That's how, but we've got some automation and, of course, human oversight that helps start screening those. We match on the culture test. We do the DISC assessment. We do skill
Yeah.
testing and all that. The idea is to put those few people that really, really align with what you need and your company culture in front of you at the end, so that you have an easy decision. Sometimes hard, because it's like, I like both of the. I had one, a CPA, and he's like, I want to hire two. He hired two people, which is not always the best thing to do, especially if it's your first time dealing with a VA.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Because there's a learning curve. But yeah, he hired two off. But that's what we want. We want it to be like easy to make a decision because you got the right person, or difficult because maybe you have two or three that are awesome.
They got it spot on with her for me, so they matched us perfectly, almost like a dating app.
Yeah, maybe I'll start a dating company. I don't know. All right. Well, Kelly, I appreciate that. Thank you very much for coming in. If folks want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
360 Collision. Our phone number is 210-890-5906. Give us a call if you need any help with your vehicle.
All right. Thank you very much, Kelly. As we wrap up the show, a quick reminder, check out our latest podcast and catch a video version of the show anytime by visiting our website at Crükus.com. That's Crükus.com. That's going to be it for this one. You guys have a great week. We'll
Thanks.
see you on the next one.